All right, after this, I'm probably going to take a couple days off because my brain needs a rest after the last couple of days. Now we know for sure that there was storage in the bow of the boat. All right, so now at this point, I am pretty sure that the Triton was there all day. They didn't switch out the boats. And I'm also pretty certain at this point that this is a real video because there's one single frame where you can see Bart's boat and you can also see the toes of somebody like dangling them off the water. So if the picture or video were AI, it would be a really bizarre thing for it to just kind of throw in. But there's zero question in my mind that this video has been altered. So then the question becomes, why would they alter this video? And the only thing that logically makes sense to me is to alter the identity of the two girls. Because if Carter is the boy in red, Wyatt is the boy in the American shorts, Bart's brother Brooke being the one in the navy blue shorts, and then Ike being the one in the teal shorts. Then we've got Warren up here with somebody in this red striped swimsuit and the girl in the teal swimsuit with the backwards hat. So in this picture, this would be Brooks, this would be Ike, this would be Wyatt, this would be Warren, which would leave this to be Carter. Now, whoever this is seems to be very cuddly with Carter. Like, too cuddly, in my opinion, for it to be like a mother or a family member. Thinking about it a lot from the timeline that we have been told, and what we haven't really been factoring in again is the party. Because remember, Warren said he went to the party, but instead of talking with all of his friends, he went upstairs to go talk with his girlfriend's dad. Now, those families are tight, so if that dad of Ava, if that conversation with the dad didn't happen, then they would automatically know that they were lying. So I've been saying for a while that the girl was somehow involved. And mind you, everybody's back on land now. They're getting ready to do the fireworks and everybody's swimming and drinking still, blah, blah, blah. So what's the excuse for no pictures at that party? They've explained it all away during the day, but at this point, they're all just being teenagers and having fun again, right? So I'm thinking that the brunette girl is Ava, the girl whose house they went to. And she's pretty close with Warren and the Pyrone family.
And they're full speed running. And then after that, I didn't see them anymore. I think you were on the boat. You start from there?
Yeah, so after we planed off, Wyatt kept the boat pinned the whole way in. We ran into the mouth of Fort Bayou, where we came from originally. And we turned into Fort Bayou, went in the channel, ran probably 500, 600 yards into Fort Bayou. Wyatt had jumped out of the boat, put the plug back in the boat so access water. So water didn't keep pushing and filling back the boat.
According to their own words, they went into the mouth and then they turned and they went about 500-600 feet. Now, mind you, the party house is right around, but they go past it and then loop back around. However, Warren just admitted that at some point they had to stop and Wyatt jumped in. And even then, you heard him stuttering over the story. Like, it wasn't a smooth transition because I think they dropped her off. Which would explain why they would go back to this party, because obviously they can't cancel the party. That looks really suspicious. Then my theory has always been that the guys all like broke off and like talked to the parents about what was going on, and that's when they formulated their whole we'll call her and then we'll call the Coast Guard plan. Remember, she is related. Somehow I can't figure out, but she is related through marriage to the lieutenant that wrote up the very initial report we've seen. Because remember how Morgan claimed that the picture of the boat stuff was circulating around Snapchat and stuff, even though Christine didn't post it to her Facebook page until the next day. Listen to this.
His mom was, what was he wearing? And so we were trying to remember what color his shorts were. We couldn't quite figure that out.
I said black.
Yeah, I think we said black.
I really did. He was wearing navy blue shorts?
Yeah, it was like dark blue shorts.
Dark. I just said black because I was trying to piece everything together and help out.
And so at this point, we're freaking out. We don't know where our friend's at. And the girl that took the picture, she was like, okay, well, I just took this picture of today. This is what color swim trunks he was wearing. And his mom asked for that to post on Facebook to say, if you've seen him, whatever, this is what he was wearing.
So remember, the girl who took the picture with the digital camera was on Wyatt's boat at the beginning of the day and then was there with them at night when they were having this discussion. So she had to have been there at the beginning and at the party at the very least. Then we remembered that the original shorts picture, well, that wasn't the color of his shorts, as we now know. She didn't have to cut me off. We were nothing.
YouTube, welcome back, gang, to all my regulars and my new viewers to another episode of Tay Wizzle Reactions. As we make our way to 300 subscribers, gang, gotta thank you all for tapping in and engaging with the channel. I really appreciate it. If you want to catch me live, go to TikTok at 8 a.m. I'm supposed to be going live in a couple minutes, so I am going to be on here, though. You can go to Twitch at 5 p.m. every day except for Saturdays. You got anything you want to send me, go ahead, put it in the community right here on YouTube, or you can put it in the DM in my social media. Today, I wanted to really dive back into this Nolan Wells case. For one, because I seen Big Kish the other day. I seen this video. If y'all know who that is, go ahead check him out on YouTube. But I seen him the other day, and he was basically talking about how well the people that did this to Nolan Wells, he was talking about how well they is like basically united, they together, and they running this story. And he also pointed out, basically how much Nolan Wells' family have been dealing with that we all might be unaware of. And he was basically calling for all content creators that even care, not even just black, but all content creators that give a damn about right or wrong, to share whatever you can about the case. Every day is new details emerging that basically proves more and more that these kids did this to Nolan Wells. And so at first, the reason why I was staying away from it, because I don't want to just be posting somebody's reaction. But I ran across some information on my own that I feel though I need to share with you guys. Now, there's this TikTok user who's basically breaking down and debunking the evidence that's presented in the case. All of the photos, all of the stories, the Life 360 map, and basically everything that's going on. And I was watching it, bro, and basically she came upon some shocking details. It's way more people involved in this case than we might think. Yes, allegedly the kids was involved in Nolan Wells' death, but the cover-up goes way deeper than what we might expect. The cover-up includes their family, their friends and associates, even business partners. A person that's deeply rooted in the system will call these people powerful because they have ties and connections of people in high positions. But one thing about it is black people also have these same resources, but we don't use them. And so me being a small content creator, I just want to do my part in helping this family find justice so this mother can find peace. The way life goes is the kids get older and bury the parents. The parents should never have to bury their children. So I cannot even begin to understand what this lady is going through. My condolences go out to her. Rest in peace to Nolan Wells. And let's get into this video. The title of it is called Nolan Wells Update. TikTok user uncovers an even darker secret. True crime. I don't really know her name on TikTok, but I will get it for you guys by the end of the video. But as always, if you like the content, don't be too shy to hit that like and subscribe button. Get notified when I drop videos like these or when I'm updating you all on the old one. Now let's roll.
So we also know for a fact that this picture did not get sent to Christine until July 5th, meaning that they had to have had that picture and then not sent it to her for hours. Because they also said this.
And so that's what we sent to her, or that's what she sent to her, because we're just trying.
So they corrected themselves. He said, we sent it. No, she sent it. And on July 5th, Christine said that they have been up for almost 48 hours straight. And then the very next post above it are the same pictures, but better quality. Why did it take so long to get these pictures to them? Oh, and y'all, now that I said that, I realize, so all of these pictures had to come from the same digital camera, right? Meaning this picture did as well. And since I've already proven that this picture had used AI to do something weird because, there was no little bar here, only explanation for using AI on just this little part would be to obscure the reflection that was in this pole of the person who was taking the video. Or the pictures. Oh my God, yes. That makes sense. Love it when I figure that stuff out in real time for you on camera. So it makes sense to me that this photo video thing was altered to cover up this girl's swimsuit. Because let's face it, this swimsuit is the ugliest thing. It has supposedly sleeves and it's a tankini, but it goes in a weird cut, but It's ugly. It's ugly, and it's clearly not what these debutante beauty queen girls are wearing to a 4th of July beach party. So I'm like 70% sure that this is Ava. Oh, wait. Oh, my God. Wait a second. Shown y'all guys before that there's 4 boats out here in this little cluster, right? But I'm looking at these weird pink lumps and stuff at the front of the boat, Bart's boat here. Is that a pile of life vests? Because I'm realizing there's not 20, 30 people on all of these boats. Like, I'm seeing 10, 12 people here tops. Let's not forget what a full house looks like on these boats. Because even in this video at the meetup place, there's not 20, 30 people getting ready to get on these boats. I mean, the boat left at 9:56 according to the GPS. We got like 7, 8 people here, like 6 people here. And also, if they were legitimately needing to be towed and they were trying to get the water to run off, why are they all spread out on the boat? Why are they on the boat in general? Why didn't they just get off on land or get on another boat? Trying to get the boat to tip up and go planing, why do you have over half the boat on the front of the boat? These are experienced fucking fishermen. They know better than that. Yeah, I can't believe I've never thought of that before. If the boat was sinking, why are they even on the fucking boat? Yeah, and if it was so common and so easy to get, rides back with other people, strangers on Horn Island, why did they need to load everybody on the boat? Right. Or were they yelling at Nolan to get on the boat? They didn't need to get him on the boat. And now that I'm looking at this, doesn't it look like Warren is on the phone? Could this have been when he was calling his mom 8 times? Also, one more thing that stuck out to me.
We called law enforcement. I was with Wyatt at the time after we left Jackson's house that night. I was with Wyatt, and one person we were with saw that their location was headed towards Wyatt's house. And so Wyatt got on the phone with 911 and was like, hey, these people are on the way to my house or already at my house. My mom and my dad are there alone, and they know nothing about this.
He stumbled over his words from beginning to end in that story, so I don't believe any of it. But the one thing that sticks out to me was the phrasing, they don't know anything about this. If people are heading over to your house, why wouldn't you call your mom and dad before you called 911? Because it sounded like he was trying to keep his parents out of the loop of this story, which as a teenage boy implies that you have something to hide. Just a lot of different things to think about, right? Oh, these little liars. I told y'all that Jax was the ringleader. I told y'all. He sat in this interview and he was telling stories about shit that he wasn't even there to witness. So let's break down some of the stuff that I heard in this interview. Let's start with Warren's first phone call, because y'all will remember that Warren said that he was over at Ava's house for that 4th of July party when they all started realizing that Nolan was missing, and he called Miss Christine at 11 o'clock.
One of the first things I told Miss Christine Wells in the first phone call that ever occurred with anything to do with Nolan Wells being gone, because I was the first person to call Miss Christine about anything. First phone call, anything to do with Nolan Wells, was me making a phone call to Christine Wells. And one of the first things I said to her, with multiple witnesses here, pull up the phone call if you want. She said, oh, well, Nolan's location is with y'all at, where the house we were at. And I was like, well, no, he left his phone with us. I told her this.
And yesterday, the same time that this interview came out, Christine Wells said this.
360 says that he's on land, and he was like, well, no, I mean, when we have his phone.
So both versions of the story say that Warren didn't tell her about the phone until after she confronted him with the 360. Now, Warren tells Miss Christine that he knows somebody in the Coast Guard and that he's going to call them, which is very fucking different than calling the Coast Guard, which absolutely explains why the Coast Guard came out and said at first that they had not received a call from the kids that night. The Coast Guard's initial statement said they weren't informed until 12:30. Then the Coast Guard later changed their story and said, oh wait, actually we did. And it seems to me that first call was most likely an off the record to a friend kind of deal, which means these people freaked out and didn't call the Coast Guard until after all these people showed up at Jax's house. Which would explain why in the course of this interview it went from Warren called the Coast Guard to we did. Now, when the subject turns to how the family got the phone back from these boys, you'll notice that there was a couple slip-ups.
Warren, you weren't at the house, and so you weren't there when they came to get the phone and all that. So
now remember, Warren just said that he wasn't at the house when the phone was got. And then Morgan talks about getting a phone call from one of the people in Christine Wells' group.
And how did they get the phone back?
So I got a call from a kid we went to high school with. He called me just asking me questions. He saw people posting on Snapchat like the picture that was circulating.
Except this picture wasn't posted until July 5th. So how could this picture have been circulating on Snapchat that night? But let's continue.
And he called and he was asking questions. He was like, "Where's Nolan? When's the last time y'all seen him?" And then he was like, "So where are y'all at?" And I told him, I said, "We're at Jax's house." And then Warren got on the phone, and I don't know.
So they come to my house, right? And they kind of
Hold on, before we get there. Was it confrontational or was it just just trying to find? It was confrontational already.
Wouldn't y'all agree?
Yeah.
He was 110%.
He was very
confrontational.
And when did this was this on the night of the 4th or the next
this
day?
was the night when this was before they came and got the phone.
So this is the night of the 4th, yes.
You guys are missing a part of the story. How did you get from Ava's house to Jax's house? Because Miss Christine is watching you guys on the Life 360. So suddenly she's seeing the phone leave one location and go to another. Of course I would be upset. And now all of a sudden Warren is there when the phone stuff starts happening? He's listening to the phone call? Now I need y'all to remember that Warren also said that the phone was in his truck on the first conversation, as we have from this report. Meaning if we were to believe Warren that he was not there when everybody showed up looking for the phone at some time in between 11 and 1 a.m., so then that would mean after they heard this angry phone call, Warren gets the phone out of his vehicle and puts it in Jack's house and then leaves.
There's probably like 10, 15 people in my house I don't even know. And they're all up in our faces, going crazy, asking where Nolan is, and we don't know. And finally they get into Wyatt's face, and they're like, "Where's your boat? Where's the boat at?"
Demanding his address.
Demanding his address and stuff like that. And he finally ends up giving it to him. We give them the phone. They have the phone at this point. Then they get the address to his house. Then they go to his house. And they're searching all over his boat, what I heard and stuff like that. Well, anyways, I don't really know much about that. But they come back to my house at around 1 o'clock in the morning.
We called law enforcement. I was with Wyatt at the time after we left Jackson's house that night. I was with Wyatt, and one person we were with saw that their location was headed towards Wyatt's house. And so Wyatt got on the phone with 911 and was like, "Hey, these people are on the way to my house, or already at my house. My mom and my dad are there alone, and they know nothing about this." But Wyatt's mom actually, when they were looking at the boat, they were actually walking from the boat, and she came out and started talking to them.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Wyatt, Morgan, and Jax were all together. Warren was gone for some reason at this point. 10 to 15 people just barge into your house. Don't know why your grandparents weren't around. That might explain some things, huh? Guess y'all had the house all to your fucking self that weekend. But then they ask Wyatt for his address so that they can go look at the boat. Wyatt gives them the address. They start heading over there. Wyatt and Morgan get into a car and leave Jax's house. Somebody else that you were with that we aren't hearing about is tracking someone else's phone. I don't know if it was somebody who was with the group that they had access to, or if they were tracking Nolan's phone and they saw it was heading to Wyatt's house. And even though Wyatt gave them the address, and instead of calling his parents, he calls 911 and tells them, "My parents don't know anything about that's going on. Can you send police over there?" Now, mind you, it was about half an hour after being on the phone with Warren that Christine was able to actually call and report him missing. But she was having to go back and forth and go down to all these different agencies because nobody would fucking help her. And frankly, I want to know why all of this confrontation was left out of the fucking report. Like, if this family had to be removed from 2 different properties by the police, why is there no record of that? And in fact, it wasn't until after these confrontations that MDMR and Ocean Springs Police apparently had their little conversations about who was going to be taking over the case. Because remember, the Jackson County Sheriff Lieutenant told them that deputies had spoken with several friends that had traveled to the island on the vessel with Nolan, and that when they were left, he was in the company of an unknown female. So now, even though Warren had supposedly called the Coast Guard, all these family members are telling the police that the kid is missing. These are the people that last saw them. They're all like, "We last saw him on the island." Still, the deputies said that they did not have reason to believe that there was any water-related exigencies or emergencies. Don't worry, y'all. I've got a lot fucking more to say about this stuff, so come back for part 2. I'm gonna be immediately recording it because Warren fucked up pretty badly in this interview, and I'll show you why.
See, I told you Bro, she be cooking, bro. She breaks this shit down like a shown enough private investigator. I don't know if she is, but I know on the clip I seen it says she was. I don't know if she just doing this for the like, you know, for the love or whatever. But she breaks this shit down. Now we about to get into part 2. She about to go in on Warren ass. But off of what she just said about part 1, bro, this just sparks a lot of more questions. But I ain't gonna hold y'all up with too much talking. I'ma holler at y'all after she finished. Let's get back into it. If you still following, don't forget to hit that like button and let's go.
Where we had left off, Warren had already called Miss Christine, and then they somehow ended up at Jax's grandparents' house. That's where they all stayed that weekend, and so that's why Nolan's keys were over there. They had to have been at the grandparents' house, who mysteriously never showed up during any of these confrontations. Somehow the phone had gone from the party that they were all at to Jax's place, and then Warren left after a phone call to Morgan. According to them, 10 to 15 people showed up and just walked into Jax's house and demanded the phone. Wyatt gave the address in which the boat was at. They all start migrating over there. Then Morgan and Wyatt and another friend are tracking their 360s and seeing that they're going over to Wyatt's house. Then they call 911 to tell them that the police are on the way to his house. Then they're searching the boat, and then they come back to Jax's house around 1 o'clock in the morning, according to him. Mind you, that's when they explain to the police about their friend being missing. And so then the report says at 1:38 in the morning, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office say that they spoke to several of the friends that were on the vessel with Nolan, saying that he was in the company of an unknown female. But Morgan, Jax, and Warren all claimed that they did not travel to the island on the same boat as Nolan. So who did they talk to? Because it sounds to me like they had told the police that they were on the same boat as him. Keeping in mind that this is what Warren told Miss Christine.
Named Katie. And so then it turned into, Katie is also missing. No one can find her. And the explanation of no one knows this Katie, like we've never met her.
And Tristan said this.
I was talking on my other buddy's phone, talking to Warren. He was dialing Coast Guard because he hung up the phone and was like, hey, this is them, bye, and hung up the phone. And that was the last time I talked to him.
Mind you, Tristan is friends with Katie. They are mutuals. I have confirmed this. So now that we've got that timeline fucking straight, let's back up to something that Warren said during this interview.
But if you're motivated enough to do it, yeah. Like, I made a phone call to my mom, and I had to call her like 8 times before she picked up because either her service was bad, because she was on the back side of the aisle, on the south side, or my service was bad, and it was just hard to get through.
Do y'all see that? Let me play it again slower for you.
Either her service was bad, because she was on the back side of the aisle, on the south side, or my service was bad, and it was just hard to get through.
Oh no. Not only did Warren confirm that his mom was on the south side of the island, but Warren himself said that if you're motivated enough, you can call somebody. I tried calling my mom 8 times. Yet this is what he said last time.
A little off the island, you have cell coverage.
Can't get no
even
further.
on the island, like I called my mom when we were on the island, it was fine.
So which is it? Did you call your mom with ease, or did you try to call her 8 times because you were motivated to get in touch with her? But Warren wasn't the only one to slip up, because listen.
And he's on the phone with Cito, and he's trying to get them on the phone. And as he stated in the moment, he's like, Cito's just asking all these dumb questions. I can't figure out what's going on.
But he tried to get him on
And
the
so
phone.
finally hangs up. And after the trim to the motor started to work again. So they manually trim it down by the buttons on the motor, trimmed it down, and some electronics started to come back on. And they got the boat to crank over, and they're like, all right, untie us.
So first off,
Yo, he said he on the phone with him, then he just switched it to yo. They trying to get on the phone with him. See, I can even admit I wasn't even paying attention enough. Because it's numerous amount of times where they done said something and then said the complete opposite the very next sentence.
Jax just proved that the boys put the phone on mute during the call with Cito. Because I've listened to the entire 8-minute call, and at no point does they ever say anything about them asking all these stupid questions. Then he said after they hung up on the Cito, that's when it started working again, and they said, okay, untie us, implying that it had been tied up to the other boat the entire time. But we see in this video that they are hauling the line back in right here as he's on the phone. See, you can see right here where the line is being pulled in from across the way where the boat is stationed. Meaning he had already hung up with Cito at that point, and he had to have been on the phone with someone else. And what we see here is, once again, we have an interview where they go into so much detail about stuff that doesn't fucking matter.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and first off explain a boat.
We fucking get how a bilge pump works. We get it by now. Stop fucking talking about the bilge pump. What we actually want to hear about is the multiple stops that were made before ending up back at the grandparents' house before they even took the boat to the boat dock. We want you guys to explain how the sea tow was canceled by the grandfather on the captain's private line before you guys had even hung up with sea tow. That's why nobody believes a fucking word that you are saying. Because I showed y'all yesterday how AI had clearly doctored these photos. If you missed it, look, silver pole. Look, no silver pole, it's actually white. And if you look at this picture in the grandparents' driveway of the Triton, you will see that the little handrails are not leaning over. You will see that the rails are going straight up and down and not leaning, which is why I also suspect that the identity of whoever this is was intentionally covered up. Because first off, who wears this weird swimsuit thing? This is somebody who, if they were with them, would have stood out in a crowd. But this woman who's in a red striped swimsuit
like an
with
adult
a white baseball cap shows up in a lot of different pictures, just oh so obscured. Here she is again, handing out beers on Bart's boat. So I personally suspect that whoever that was in fact on the Triton, and they used AI to change her clothing and to obscure her identity. Because I think this was either Warren's mother or Wyatt's stepmother, which would explain.
Oh God, I was just getting ready to say, bro, what if the fucking parents helped them cover the shit up or was just there, period? Because he did say his mother was on the south side of the island. She was close as fuck. And so if he called her and got through, and they was, even if he said they was sinking, wouldn't she would have came to make sure her son all right? I know I would have.
In the older female voice people have said they've heard on the sea tow. Because otherwise, why would he need to call his mother 8 times? Unless, according to his own words,
If you're motivated enough to do it, yeah.
because remember, there is a 4th boat out there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Holy fuck, I just accidentally stumbled onto something that literally is concrete proof. Oh my god, next video coming. Oh my god!
Forget the next video tease for a second. Let's deal with what's actually sitting in the official record right now, because it matters more than anything he's about to stumble onto. Go back and listen to exactly what Warren said, not what he meant, what he said. He told Christine he knew somebody in the Coast Guard and that he was going to call them. That is not the same sentence as I called the Coast Guard. Those are 2 completely different actions, and the gap between them is not a technicality. It is the entire reason the Coast Guard's own initial statement said they had not been informed until 12:30 that morning, before that statement quietly changed.
Right.
So which is it? Did somebody make an actual emergency call, or did somebody dial a personal contact and assume that counted? Here is what the MDMR incident report actually confirms. And I want you to notice how little that is. Dispatch logs show the Coast Guard was notified sometime around midnight on July 4th, roughly the same window Christine made her own call to authorities. That's it. That's the confirmed part. What the report does not tell you is how that first contact happened. Was it a formal call that opened a case number and triggered an actual response protocol? Or was it one teenager reaching a guy he knows off the record the way you'd call in a favor? Because those 2 things do not produce the same outcome. And if the second one is what actually happened first, that alone explains why the early hours of this search moved as slowly as they did. Ask yourself why nobody involved has clarified that distinction publicly 6 weeks later. Now let's talk about the phone, because this is where it stops being about word choice and starts being about a mother watching her son disappear in real time on a screen. Nolan's phone did not stay in one place that night. By multiple accounts, it ended up sitting in a friend's truck. On its own, that is nothing. Kids hand phones off to each other constantly, especially in the middle of a chaotic night with 15 people showing up at a house asking questions nobody has answers to yet. But Christine was not just waiting by a phone that night. She was tracking it. She had Life 360 open, watching a blinking dot, and that dot was moving. It was moving in ways that did not match what she was being told on the call at the exact same time. Sit with that for a second. You are a mother. Your son is missing. Someone on the phone is telling you one version of where things stand, calmly, reassuringly. And the app on your own screen is showing you something else entirely. A device in motion, going somewhere nobody mentioned. What would you do with that? Would you stay calm? Would you keep listening politely? Or would you start driving straight toward wherever that dot was heading because the story on the phone and the story on the map had stopped matching? And
remind you, they only even told her that they had Nolan's phone because she told them, nah, I'm watching this on Life 360. So once they realized, oh shit, she can see us, that's why the phone started moving. They kind of started scrambling to make sure their alibi was in place for whatever narrative that they had to put out there. Because that's suspicious by itself. If I'm somebody's friend who has the phone of somebody who's missing and I'm talking to their mother, even if I wouldn't have called them off of their phone, I probably would have called them off of the friend's phone that I got. Like, yeah, hey, Miss Such and Such, this whistle, and I got blah, blah, blah phone, but I don't know where he at. I lost track of him and bit, 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 bit. But like he said, what she's been told and what she's seeing on the phone is not adding up. It's not matching. Then her spirit must be telling her something. And she possessed something called a woman's intuition that's very powerful.
You no longer trusted either one on its own. I don't think there's a mother alive who chooses calm in that moment. I don't think there's a parent watching this right now who would either. None of this requires a theory about what happened on that island. It doesn't require assuming anybody lied. What it requires is admitting that a formal emergency call and an informal one produce two very different timelines, and that a location tracking app showing movement nobody explained is exactly the kind of thing that turns fear into full-blown panic in minutes. That panic didn't come from nowhere. It came from a real documented gap between what the group was saying and what the data was showing in real time, while a mother sat there trying to figure out which one to believe. That gap is where the next part of this night actually starts. Because once that dot kept moving, and once the story on the phone stopped lining up with what she was watching happen live, Christine did not wait around for someone else to explain it to her. She went looking. And so did everyone else who loved that kid. What happened when they found where that dot led is where this gets a lot harder to explain away as just a chaotic night. 10 to 15 people showed up at that house that night. Not officers, not investigators, family and friends who loved a missing kid and had just watched a phone move somewhere nobody could explain. Ask yourself honestly what that looks like if it's your kid. Does it look calm? Does it look patient? Or does it look exactly like what it was? A group of terrified people demanding answers from the last house their son's location put him near. I'm not going to sit here and call that a confrontation like it's evidence of something sinister, because it isn't. It's what fear does. It's what every single one of us would do if the dot on our screen stopped making sense. And somebody in that house was the only person who might know why. So no, I'm not interested in dragging anybody for showing up angry that night. What I am interested in is why none of that shows up anywhere in the official report. If this family had to be removed from two separate properties by police, where is that documented? Somebody made that decision to leave it out, and I want to know who. Now, here's the part that actually stops me. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office report says deputies spoke with several friends who had been on the vessel with Nolan, and that those friends said he was left in the company of an unknown female. Sit with the wording for a second. on the vessel with Nolan. But Morgan, Jax, and Warren have all said publicly more than once that they were not on the same boat as Nolan that day. So if none of them were on that boat, who exactly told police they were? Somebody gave that account. Somebody stood in front of a deputy and said those words. 6 weeks later, we still don't have a name attached to it. And I think that's a fair thing to be asking about instead of just accepting the sentence as written. And that brings us to the person this entire case actually runs through. And it isn't any of the names you've heard 40 times by now. It's Katie. Every account we have of Nolan's final hours on that island passes through her, secondhand, filtered through what other people say she told them or what other people assumed happened between them. Not one word of it comes from her own mouth. 6 weeks, not one interview, not one public statement, nothing. I want to be fair about this because fair matters more to me than getting a reaction out of you. There are decent reasons a family keeps a young woman out of the spotlight. Lawyers tell people to stay quiet all the time for reasons that have nothing to do with guilt. Protecting her from exactly the kind of pile-on every other name in this case has endured is a legitimate call, not a suspicious one. I'm not accusing her of anything, and neither should you. But here's what I can't get past. The most direct possible witness to what actually happened to Nolan Wells in his last hours has never spoken publicly in any format, in any interview, anywhere. That's not a rumor. That's not somebody's theory. That is a documented factual hole sitting directly in the center of this timeline, and it has been there since day one. Ask yourself why that doesn't get talked about. More than half the noise in this case actually does. So here's where that leaves us. A phone that moved somewhere nobody explained. A Coast Guard call that might not have been a Coast Guard call at all. A police report with an unnamed witness account that 3 named people say couldn't have come from them. And one young woman who could answer half of these questions in a single sentence and hasn't said one word. Until she does, or until that sealed report finally gets unsealed, everything either side tells you about that night is still just one more secondhand version of a story.
They ain't telling you about the girl because they probably trying to get her to corroborate what they saying, and she probably don't want to go with it. And they know if people knew them the identity of her, they will be definitely contacting her. I wouldn't say harassing, but trying to find out what she know, which is understandable. If you was there, you was actually one of the last people that saw him alive, you should speak up. And also, just like he's saying, if Bart, the one he talking about, the last person that said Nolan Wells alive is not speaking up, right? Why is this not being talked about? Because I just saw this is the third video, no, the fourth video I watched, and they haven't said nothing about that. This video, they just said something about it. But if you want me to be honest, though, this case is already basically painting itself out. It's wrapping up. People just want to know every fine detail. We might not get every fine detail, but we got enough to go off of what they call circumstantial evidence. And I don't know about this new African American lawyer they got on the case, but he could just be the one that pieced it all together, that put it together and present it right to the jury or the judge. Because that's also an important factor. The way they present this case, because of the way it's looking, the way they are building their defense in trial, we're going to have to, like basically connect the dots. Because we don't have a layup. We don't have nobody with blood on their hands right now. So we following the trail. But I think one of the easiest things to close this case would be to go to talk to Bart. Go and talk to the last guy who saw Nolan Wells alive. And I'm assuming that's why he's straight lawyered up. That's probably why he hasn't spoken up until this point. You probably see it all in his face. You probably see it all in his words and his demeanor, because you could definitely see that these guys was not as close to Nolan Wells as they are trying to make it seem. They ain't showing no emotion, no nothing. And shout out to all the white people out there that's definitely helping and that's definitely contributing to certain details that we may have missed. And I want to say thank you for speaking the truth. Thank you for being on the side of truth. It's not about color or skin color. It's just that they love to do this shit to us type of people. But shout out to y'all that always, that keep speaking the truth, no matter what y'all peers might think. And like I said, man, I just wanted to make this video because I wanted to do my part. And I know I'm not nowhere near Mississippi, but spreading the word and getting more people to know details that they may have missed, can help. Now, I probably won't cover every single video that come out about this case, but I will be covering the most important and shocking details that emerge. It's no use to really making videos about details we already know, or we may break down new perspectives or new meaning of interviews or statements that they done already said or showed. So, but let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. For one, do she not be cooking? She be cooking. Sometimes I be feeling like she might be going a little bit too far to the left because she be thinking too far into it. But there's nothing wrong with that because you're just trying to cover every angle and every aspect. But definitely shout out to her. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know who y'all think like did this to Nolan Wells. Because it was like 4 or 5 people involved. But let me know which person you actually think unalived Nolan Wells. And also let me know why you think they hiding the girls that's involved as well. Do you think one of those girls that was on a boat could possibly be Nolan's mother? I mean, not Nolan, Warren's mother. And also, if you made it this far in the video and you like the content, don't be too shy to hit that like and subscribe button. Get notified when I drop a new video or when I'm updating y'all on the old one. We on our way to 300 subscribers. Thank you guys for tapping into the channel. I really appreciate it. Want to catch me live? Go to TikTok at 8 a.m. Or you can go to Twitch at 5 p.m. every day except for Saturdays. You got clips you want to send me, you want to show me, go ahead and throw it in the community right here on YouTube, or you can put it in the DMs, any one of my social media platforms. Shout out to this amazing TikToker once again. And shout out to you all for tuning in and always supporting your boy. I really appreciate it. I gotta go use the bathroom and then I gotta get on TikTok. So I gotta get up out of here, sadly. But I'm gonna see you guys on the next video. I love you guys. Thank you for tapping in and thank you for watching.